Okay, here we are. And I'm going to hide all your beautiful faces because I get so confused. All right, I welcomed you. No, don't do that. All right. Some of you know, many of you know me, some of you don't. I'm a longtime marketer and a passionate entrepreneur. This is my fourth business. I'm currently a business coach. I have done coaching for the past 5 or 6 years. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 or more. So I've been in the business for a while. I've been a popular motivational speaker and an educator for years, and I'm known for providing audiences with practical tools and techniques and strategies that they need to grow their business and improve their lives. I am a woman of a certain age. I'm 68, in case you're wondering, and hope that I'm using my excitement and energy to help other women create their own next chapters filled with vitality and fulfillment. This is what Aging with Attitude is all about, we're going to talk about creating the next 2, 3, and 4 decades of your life rather than just taking it as it comes. We have to be, is proactive the right word? This really means that we want to put some thought into how we want to be leading our lives. On the personal side, I'm a mom to 2 grown kids, 23 and 25 now. I'm a recent widow. I'm a bit obsessed with helping us all create a new definition of our later years and to be building a community of like-minded women. Again, if you know me, if you've been in any of my groups or in any of my sessions, community is so important to me. I think that's the name of the game. And as we get older, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that, community is what's going to keep us young. And so community is so important. Y'all are my tribe. We are each other's tribe. And think of what we could contribute to the planet if we made the absolute most of our next 10, 20, 30, or 40 years, right? This is not a time to throw in the towel. And if any of you are feeling that way, I hope by the end of this, you will not. So one of the best things that's happened to me since turning 60 was finding a sense of myself. So sort of I don't care what anybody else thinks about me. I've sort of earned the right to have my own opinions and stand strong on them. I just don't care what other people think. It's been very freeing. And I have so much more energy and power than I had pre-60. It's just been fabulous. And that's what I would like to share with you. All right, now what? So this epiphany of aging with attitude came to me in 2 stages. The first was when I was approaching 60. Something happened to me at about age 59. I could see my 60th birthday was coming up. 60 was looming, and that's a big one. If any of you have gone through it, that's a big one. And I realized that when I looked around, I didn't see many women my age who embodied the spirit of energy and optimism that I wanted to have in my life. I just looked around and didn't like what I saw. And I was not happy with that. And it just started me thinking about, how do I want to age? How do I want to go through the next chapter, whatever it's going to be? That was phase 1 as I was turning 60. Now, phase 2, my husband just died. He just died in January. And everything's changed, right? So I'd been his full-time caregiver for 5 years. He was no longer with me. That role was no longer with me. I was no longer taking care of anybody. My kids are grown up and gone. They don't need any mothering. All of the roles I was playing were no longer valid, were no longer true. And I feel like I'm not starting over again, but I'm having to go through this same process of reevaluating what's the next step going to look like? What's the next chapter going to look like? So now what? Where are we women of a certain age? So as I continued to ponder this whole process, here's what I saw. Older women just seem to disappear from the landscape. If you look at that, More is no longer a magazine that's around, but if you look at that headline, reinvent your life at 30, 40, 50, what about 60, 70, and 80, right? We're just kind of dropped out of the conversation. And where are we? Where do we look for stimulation, innovation? Where are we in the media front? We just disappear. However, where we are, are images that I really didn't like. So images of older women that I did see in magazines and on TV, almost anywhere, I didn't like. So old began to mean, or old in my mind meant decrepit, breaking down, wrinkled, used up, useless. I saw a future without much purpose or definition, and I found it incredibly depressing. I needed a new vision because it wasn't going to come from out there. And I had to create it myself. And ladies, we have to create it ourselves. This is the whole purpose of this conversation. So I decided I had to create a new mental image. I started to look for icons, right? I'm a very visual person. So I started to look for icons, women in their later years who were passionate and vital and full of life that I could start to model. Look at these women. Helen Mirren, oh my God, she just gets juicier with age, right? She's fantastic. I don't know who this woman is on the right, but oh my God, she's just full of life. Who doesn't love Iris Apfel? If you don't know who she is the geriatric starlet at the age of 92. She's a model, she's a fashion icon, she's a major influencer. She's just someone that I just adore. I started to look for these women to get inspired by. And at that point, I was on the right track. And then things in life started to get tough. Both of my parents died in a very short period of time. Louise is here. Hold on one second. Let me bring her in. Wait. Louise, I'm having trouble with my mouse. Damn it. Nope. This was happening earlier today. I can't find my mouse. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'll get back. Sorry for the technical difficulties, kids. All right, admit. All right, I'll go back. Louise, if you can help me, if you can hear me, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. All right, so as I said, I had to start looking for my own vision of women out in the world that were exciting to me. And then life got hard. My parents died, lots of transition happening. I felt like I was on this merry-go-round and was emotionally exhausted, right? 2 parents dying, kids leaving the nest. It was too much, right? And I was just getting exhausted, emotionally exhausted, and getting older was starting to evolve into old age, right? That was what I was letting myself dive into or fall into pretty fast. And I kept thinking, is this what I want my later years are going to be like? You know, if I don't get control over this is what's going to happen. And I had to put a stop to this downward spiral that seemed to be developing. But what do I want the next 30 years to look like, or 40 years? And I had to start to create a vision that was a good first step, but not enough. I needed a vision and a plan to create the future me. A future that was full of purpose, excitement, juiciness, vitality, and joy in my 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. And I was willing to spend some time to put into this. And I'll tell you why this is important. You may have 20 or 30 years left. You may have 1 year left. I mean, we don't know, right? So you need to make it count. And as I was watching myself nosedive, spiral into depression, I thought, I have to make this count because I have no idea how much longer I have to live a juicy life. No one tells us how to age. We need to define our own vision and create our own map. It's interesting to me that we're so careful about the number of calories we take in. Why aren't we as conscious about how we're spending them? Right? I bet all of you could tell me the number of calories you had in your breakfast this morning. Most of you could, because we're so focused on that. And how we spend our energy gets less attention than how many calories we eat. It's just ridiculous. Where and how you want to spend those calories? Where do you want to spend your mental energy? I have a story to tell you. If you know me, you know I love shoes. So life is short, buy the shoes. A while ago, again, I first was starting this whole process when I was in my 60s, early 60s. I had just started a new job. And to me, a new job equals new clothes and a chance to do some retail therapy. And that's what I went out and did. So I went out to Nordstrom to do some shopping for my new job. And in the shoe department, I saw these shoes. Now, this is a few years ago, so they probably wouldn't be something I'd be attracted to now, but what's not to love, right? They're pink, they're suede, they're platform, they're Prada, they're incredible. And I kept carrying them around the shoe department because I was so in love with them. I thought, oh my God, these are fabulous. And I couldn't, price aside, I couldn't get myself to even consider them. And there was, as I was standing at the shoe counter, there was a much older woman next to me who was very chic. She was 80 something, very chic, standing right beside me. And I held the shoe up and I said, do you think these are too young for me? And she looked down at her glasses, right over her glasses. And she said, well, you could go to your grave wearing a black sack and sensible shoes. Is that what you want? And I thought, no, I don't. I do not want to go to my grave wearing sensible shoes. I do want to celebrate. And she gave me such a gift. Here's this 80-plus-year-old woman dressed to the nines who clearly was enjoying her life. And for her to say to me, do you want to go with a black sack and sensible shoes? How do you want to create your next piece of your life? I wanted to celebrate. What a revelation. What a gift she gave me. I wanted to enjoy life. I wanted chocolate. I wanted friends. I wanted family. I wanted art. I wanted great food. I wanted fabulous clothes. I wanted to enjoy it all. And I had to give myself permission. Self-denial is not a part of the program, people. Giving yourself permission, take the Spanish lessons now, write that book now, use the good china now. You need to enjoy life because you might drop dead tomorrow. So here I am creating this map. I needed to frame a system for myself so that I could define and then create what I wanted my later years to look like. Not what society had assigned to me in those years, what I wanted them to be. So we're going to talk about that today in the 5 keys. And for those of you who want to know a bit more about how to work with me to create your own map, I'll tell you about that more a little bit later. So I read, I pondered, I journaled, I networked, I read some more. I found bloggers and websites and books that I loved that were really stimulating me about this topic. I put together a process that helped me create a map of where I wanted my life to go. And I can honestly say 8 years later, I feel younger and more energetic and purposeful than I have in decades. All with that process I went through when I was turning 60. And now that I'm in phase 2 with my husband's death, I'm just re-examining the journey. I'm using those same 5 keys. I'm just having to re-examine it again. Same thing. So here are the 5 keys, and I'm going to go into detail to all of them, but I just want you to know what they are. Start with where you are, identify your assumptions, replace assumptions with a new vision, watch your language, find your tribe. So these are the shortcuts to get you into planning your new future. What is attitude? I chose the name Aging with Attitude very intentionally. Attitude is about mindset. If you know me, if you've been to any of my presentations, if you've been involved with any of my coaching or any of my group programs, no matter what the curriculum, we always start with mindset. Mindset is the foundation for everything. And so mindset is everything as far as how you approach aging. It's the foundation for everything that's going to come next. We might be stuck in our 60s and older in a fixed mindset, right? We've been on the planet for a while, right? So we are used to doing things in a certain way. We've lived a lot of life. We might be set in some of our ways. We do know that we don't like shrimp, but we do like lobster. We don't like this kind of a person. We don't like this kind of music. There are things about us that might be pretty fixed. And what I'm asking you to do and challenging you to do now is to open up into growth mindset, so that you're re-examining all of those things that you might take for granted. It's just a different point of view. And the more you can audit yourself and catch yourself and be in that growth mindset, the better off you're going to be. So Key number one is start with where you are. This is simple, but not easy. Take notice of where you are right this very minute. Don't judge, don't evaluate, don't regret, or even congratulate yourself. Just notice. Be honest and just notice. That's the hard part. Just observe. We can't move on until we know where we're moving from, right? We can't establish a change if we're always self-editing or worse, criticizing ourselves. And again, just to give you a little personal story, when Bruce died, my whole MO, I'm a go-getter kind of gal. I'm a type A. That's just how I function. Once he died, that completely drained away and I became exhausted. I was sleeping all the time. I was tired. I had no energy. I had no ambition. I had no idea what I was doing with my life. I just couldn't figure it out. And people would say, "How are you doing?" And I'd say, "I haven't got a clue. I just don't know." And it's taken me this many months, because he died in January, it's taken this many months to be able to acknowledge myself that up until a month ago, this is just where I was. So this is what I'm asking you to do, is just acknowledge where you are right now. Start with where you are without, and I was judging myself tremendously. What am I doing sleeping at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Just observe and don't judge. Denial is a big deal here. So denial can get in the way. It can play a big part in clouding your ability to do this, to be in growth mindset. So things like, looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, "I don't know that woman. Who is that woman? I used to be able to run 3 miles. I can't even walk one. Who is this?" Denial about where you are right now can keep you stuck and from moving through to the next stage of whoever you're going to be, whatever your life is going to be like. So again, get your little radar up for what denial can be, how denial can be tripping you up. Start evaluating, acknowledging where you are now. You can't identify changes you want to make or initiate growth if you can't establish where you are starting from. So that's number one. Key number two, identify your assumptions. So this is one step beyond starting from where you are that might take a bit of internal digging. I know it did for me. What are the assumptions you may have tucked away in your subconscious that are influencing how you feel and you think about the aging process and how it is to be a 60, 70, 80, 90-year-old woman? The more you can uncover, the more you can address these assumptions head on. So some of mine, as I might have said, are, I'd be sad with an empty nest when both kids left college. Kate, you and I have talked about this a million times, where both of our kids are about the same age. And once they went away to school, my assumption was that life was going to be sad, because that was a primary reason for was to be a mother. Life would be gray. Another assumption was how I looked and dressed would be frumpy, because that's what I saw all around me. And so I thought, from 60-year-olds I saw around me, that was just my assumption. That was going to be me too. And I didn't like it. I had little to look forward to, was another assumption. Here are two more that are really poignant. My body was going to fall apart and I'd look worse and worse as I got older. It's just inevitable, was my assumption. Secondly, there are a lot of diseases in my family, heart attacks and, on and on. My assumption was that was going to bring me to my knees. I was assuming that they were going to impact me as well. So think about anything that you assume will be true in the years to come. These are things you've learned consciously or unconsciously as a child, from parents or relatives. These assumptions may be images you are currently seeing in the media or on TV. These may be observations from people around you. Again, you turn these into assumptions unconsciously. So I'm encouraging you to do some digging and figure out what those assumptions are. They may be assumptions about your health, your appearance, your friends, where and how you'll be living and with whom. Start somewhere, but start digging. So in the AWA circle, which I'll tell you about in a minute, we will work through many of these steps in worksheets and workbooks and shared conversations so that we're recording our thought process to work through them later on. So much of this might take some time and work to identify because we don't think about this stuff very often, right? If at all, right? Assumptions are assumptions, right? And so what I'm asking you to do then is to really take some time and take a look at how you're assuming life will be in your next chapter. This is actually another method of starting where you are, but more on an unconscious level. I'm asking you to be proactive about this. All right, so step number 3 is replace those assumptions with new visions. The biggest problem is that we have not thought about what things could look like. We haven't taken the time, put any time into this. So I'm sure you've heard about the vision board concept, and this is where you create either, a corkboard or something where you can start having visual representations about what your vision of the future would be. I use Pinterest, same thing. That's why it's called, it's a corkboard online. And it's an opportunity for you to put in front of you images that stimulate you, excite you, inspire you. So again, this doesn't have to be limited to physical appearance. This could be your surroundings, your friends, your home, travel locations, what homes will look like in the future. There's so many ways that you can be replacing the assumptions that you had with images that you could consider for the future. One of the reasons I love Pinterest is that I get stimulated by other people's boards and pins, so that the algorithm starts to sense what I go for, what I'm looking at, and it shows me other things. So it's right away an opportunity for me to see things I wouldn't have been looking at had I been left to my own devices. So the board that you're looking at right now is the first one I did, called Stylistas of a Certain Age. And this was a board I created that was of women who I visually thought were incredibly exciting, right? Whether they were 110 or 30, 110 or 60 or whatever. These women of a certain age I found fascinating. They aren't all beautiful. Many of them aren't beautiful. Many of them don't dress fabulously. They were exciting to me. And I look back on this board, I add to it frequently, and I look back to it as visual stimulation. So however you do it, I'm just suggesting that Pinterest is one way to do it, or a vision board is another way to do it. Start replacing those assumptions about what your life is going to look like with new visions of how you want it to look like. So that's the third key. So the fourth key, and this might sound silly, but believe me, it is not, is watch your language. Language and the words and phrases we use both out loud and to ourselves influences how we think about something. The very words we use. Kate, you're a copywriter, so you know this. Take note of this in your daily talk. Again, I'm asking you to monitor yourself. Take note of this in your daily talk and how you talk to yourself. This is stuff that's going on inside your brain. Pay attention and start making adjustments. This seems trivial. It is not. So I wish I knew more about neuro-linguistic programming, because there's a whole explanation about how you're reprogramming your brain in a positive direction the more you use positives as opposed to negatives. But what I'm asking you to do then is to just audit your own language, even your self-talk, and take a look at the kind of language that we use to ourselves. We are typically not our own best friends. We are typically very self-critical, very, fill in the blank. We frequently don't use our best language with ourselves. So I want you to start thinking about how you talk to yourself. So here are some phrases that I found myself using that I have stopped using. One is referring to things as senior moments. I can't find my car keys. I don't know where my lipstick is. I've just lost a credit card. I'm having a senior moment. I no longer use that phrase. It doesn't serve me. And every time I use that phrase, it's self-denigrating. So that's out of my vocabulary. My mom used to say, when she would ask one of the kids to do something for her, she'd say, would you do so-and-so for your old mom? So the phrase, your old mom, was something she used and I will never use, because again, that image of my old mom is something that I never, in her mind, was something that I never want to emulate. And so that's a phrase that I've just nixed out of my vocabulary. You can't teach an old dog no tricks. I used to be good at running. Now I can only walk a mile. There are so many ways that we talk to ourselves that are denigrating that we don't even think about it. One of the things that my mother did always was anytime she walked by a mirror, she would say, God, I look awful. And I'd think, even at the age of 6, I'd think, what a horrible thing to say about yourself. So I want you to start noticing these in your everyday speech and your self-talk, and find substitutes that work for you, not against you. This may sound silly, but what you're doing now is laying down new neural pathways in your brain, which become stronger the more you use them. You know, the whole concept of muscle memory, it's said that it's going to take 10,000 tennis serves before your brain starts to internalize how to serve a tennis ball well. Same with the language. You know, the more you're using positive language as opposed to negative language, the more practice, the more positive, the more your chemistry is going to change. So step number 4, language and how you talk to yourself is important for reinforcing this new image. Keep your radar up, ladies. Really important. All right, number 5. There should be a 5 there, but there isn't. Find your tribes. This is key, key, key. Don't isolate. And as we're coming out of lockdown, oh my God, what a horrible 14 months this has been, or however many months. I mean, we have all been so isolated, and coming out of that isolation can also be traumatic for a lot of us. So don't isolate. The important thing is to find, create, or renew engagement with people you like. Invest the time, meet regularly, put dates on your calendar, and make this a critical part of your life, because it is. Get this. Researchers have found that older people with fewer human contacts are more likely to die younger, even if they were happy in their solitude, than are people with richer social lives. Neuroscientists have been studying social isolation for years. One frightening finding, this is terrifying, is that feelings of loneliness are linked to poor cognitive performance and quicker cognitive decline. Horrifying. We evolved to be a social species. It's hardwired into our brains, and when we don't meet that need, it can have physiological and neurological effects. Find your tribes, be active, engage. So reevaluate your connectedness, especially now, right? We're now coming out of the doors. We can now go outside. We can now go to restaurants. We can now meet for coffee. Make sure that you're doing that. Your life is changing, and perhaps old friends, old groups, old clubs no longer serve you. So again, as I'm asking you to envision and revision this new life that you're going to be leading, take a look at the communities that you've built around them and see if they still serve you. Many of us have outgrown old friends or just drifted apart. You may want to reach out and find new friends. It's, you know, once we get to a certain age, it's rare that we take the opportunity to meet new people. And what I'm asking you to do is to make that happen. You might want to reach out and find new friends or groups that can help you even temporarily through a transition, right? They might not be fast friends for the rest of your life, but if you're going through a transitional state, maybe you need new people to help you through that transition. If you're going through a divorce or a death or what have you, there's a new commonality that you're addressing that maybe your old friends can't help you with. So engage with new friends to help you go through the transition and also prepare you for a richer, more juicier life. If your old friends or groups still resonate with you right now, great. I'm not saying drop anybody, but reevaluate, continue to evaluate whether or not you're being supported in all the ways and areas as you go forward, as you need it. And again, we've gotten so fixated on online because we had to, but let me tell you, Zoom doesn't cut it. So, you know, get out there, go to restaurants, don't have an online virtual book club, go have coffee with your book club. Make sure that you are you have face-to-face interaction, because the warm fuzzies that happens in person does not happen online. We've all experienced this in the last 14 months. So no one tells us how to be old, right? We women of a certain age, no one tells us how to be old. We have to define it. We have to take the effort and the time now to do just that. You know, I kept looking for, when I hit this 60s threshold, I kept looking for a book like What to Expect When You're Expecting. You know, when you're pregnant, we all went out and bought that book. I was hoping to find something similar for how to get older. It is out there. You know, there's an opportunity for someone to write a book, or books, but there is no book, right? We are the ones who have to define what this is going to look like for us. Keys are not a map. I've just given you 5 keys. So that's what I did. I created a step-by-step process using these 5 keys to aging with attitude as a core. Remember my original story where I had to create a new vision first, but creating a map for myself was what moved me in a new, healthier way in a vibrant direction. And the 5 keys that we just discussed are just the starting point. And as I said, now that I'm going through phase 2, they're a great starting point, but they're just a starting point for what the rest of my life is going to look like. So those are the 5 keys. But I want to ask you again, as I did in the chat earlier, what brought you here today? It might be that you're facing transition, right? An empty nest, or a loss, or a change in your family or work status, or something's missing. It might be that you're feeling invisible, right? No one sees you anymore, and perhaps you're not even sure how to see yourself. Do you avoid mirrors when you walk by them? My mother did that, and it just made me so sad. It might be that you're changing, that you're beginning to feel old, as I had, and you don't like it and are looking for a way to change that. So this is a process, people. But whatever your reason, this process will help you. It's a step-by-step process that will guide you through creating your own third act. And if you'd like to continue this exploration with me and go to a much deeper level of defining your own map, I'm going to invite you to join me in my Aging with Attitude Circle. This is a membership program that I just developed. People, we are in beta with this, and I'll describe what beta means in a second. But it's a membership of like-minded women of a certain age who are going through this exploration together. And I just want to say something about membership programs. Navigating our next chapters can seem daunting and confusing, but it'll certainly be more so if you do it alone. Setting aside the time to connect with like-minded women and receiving direction and guidance to process the many issues that aging creates is time very well spent. We don't allow ourselves the time to do this, right? This is kind of a self-care thing that gets crossed off the list if we even acknowledge that we wanted to do it at all. So let's face it, we all in the circle, we're going to be bringing together women from different locations. It's online, industries, educational backgrounds, life stages, experience levels. This is going to be a mixed bag of women because I'm putting it out there. The whole point is to make space for diverse points of view, leading to incredibly creative ideas generated for your life. So let's face it, we can all get blinded by seeing things a certain way. Again, just a quick story about my process right now. It never occurred to me that I was going to be living alone for the rest of my life. I thought my husband and I would, go into our 60s, 80s, 70s, grow old together. Well, that's not the case, right? And I'm going to be living alone. And I'm looking at now, what does that look like? Do I want to be living alone? Do I want to be in a group setting? What would that look like? So I'm open to ideas, so the thought of being able to be in a group with other women who might be going through similar explorations is very exciting to me. So I can tell you that being a part of a membership program, I've been there through many in the past, have been an absolute game changer for me. I feel better about aging than I ever thought I could. Now that experience is available to you through my Aging with Attitude Circle, especially designed for women like us. So let me be honest, this is a beta program, which means that I'm inventing this as I go. It's not etched in stone, but I'm going to lay out for you what the circle looks like now. But this is flexible, and I'm going to be adding more content, more pieces of it as we go. So right now, if you choose to join me, you will be my guinea pig. And I'm looking to y'all for more feedback on what you would want to see in this kind of a membership situation. Now, here's what you currently get. There's a ton of membership content in the resources area of the website. There's a website that you'll see, and there's a ton of resources, which is videos that I've done, tutorials that I've done, worksheets to help you work through the processes that we've already discussed. There's a lot of membership content in the membership site that's divided into 6 modules, and I'll tell you about that in a second. So the membership content is one piece of it. Calls. Right now, we're going to have 1 call a month where we all get on the phone together and we discuss what we're going through, right? This is sort of a masterminding, sharing what's coming up for you, what's coming up as you've read through the material. Where are you in your life right now? It's an opportunity to get on the phone together and really experience and share that together. And then the last piece of it is just taking that all online into a private Facebook group so we can continue the conversations. So I have 3 Facebook groups now. I'm very engaged, I'm very involved. So if you thought the calls were interactive, the group itself just continues the process of engaging with each other. So those are the 3 pillars of what the membership is all about. So just as a sample, there's 6 modules. The first one will be on mindset. You can see that there are videos, there's a worksheet, there are resources to download, a worksheet on watching your language, a couple of books, all on this topic of mindset. So in each module, there are worksheets that I give you on purpose, right? My desire is not to make you crazy with homework. The desire here is to help you with tools to help you work through this self-evaluation and this process. So there are a myriad of worksheets in every area where you can do this processing and then share it with people if you so choose. So the 6 modules that I currently have are, the first one is mindset, because that's where I start with everything. The second one is transitioning with the tribe. Most of us are either going through or will be going through or have gone through some pretty major transitions at this stage of our lives. So working through transition with the tribe is really helpful. So we'll talk about how to transition with the tribe, how to also find your tribe and engage with your tribe. The third module is discovering your healthiest self. Excuse me. And by that, I mean, not just physical, but emotional and psychological health, directly connected to your overall sense of well-being. Excuse me. So again, looking at your healthiest self and what you want to be like, feel like, think like, what your spirituality is about. That's what we go over in module 3. Module 4 is about style. This is an area that I happen to love. It's part of my creative outlet. Might not be for you, but I guarantee you that as we are getting older, our bodies don't look the same as they did when we were 20 and 30. How do we feel about that? How do we want to present ourselves to the world? How do we want to present ourselves to us so that we wake up in the morning and put on clothes that make us feel good, whatever that looks like to you? So I felt this was worth some examination. How do you want to present yourself to the world now? Module 5 is finding your purpose. So as I said, no longer a wife, no longer a mother, no longer a caregiver. What am I doing? So finding your purpose at this stage might not look like anything you've experienced before. So we'll spend time in this module on what are you going to be doing now? Are you still working? Are you retired? Are you volunteering? What might you be doing that you haven't done before? What's going to make you feel like you have meaning? Because you're the one who has to define that, right? No one assigns you meaning. You have to define your own purpose. And then module 6 is putting this all together in a master plan that you're going to pull together to make this work for you. So, but there's more. Excuse me. So in addition to the calls and the resources and the Facebook group, there are going to be additional calls with experts who cover areas that are specific to aging with attitude. So as an example, I've got one friend who's an expert in organization. So she's going to talk about decluttering and how you downsize. That's one opportunity. That's one thing that I can't wait to hear. So that's an expert that's going to join us. There's another woman who's a stylist who's going to come in and talk about, you know, how you can evaluate your own personal style as you get older and your body is changing. So I'm going to be introducing additional calls with women who are presenting new ideas in other areas. I have a Pinterest video tutorial on how to create a vision board. I've got a Meetup tutorial. Meetup is incredible for expanding your network of people, and more to come. That's why I say I'm in beta. There's always more that I'm going to be adding to this site. There is a Facebook group, which again is where the action happens. This I have gotten so much pleasure out of managing the Facebook groups that I have on Facebook, because the more engaged the members are, the better it is. And if we all become engaged and use that Facebook group, it's going to be exponential, the amount that you get out of this. Monthly calls, as I said, which may turn into 2 times a month. I'm just going to see how it goes. How much does this cost? Okay, so this is $50 per month. This is beta. This is me throwing this up against the wall and seeing if this makes sense for y'all. So I'm starting at $50 a month because I think that's a whole lot of stuff that you're getting for a very small price. There's no contract or commitment, so you don't have to commit for a year or any amount of time. You can try it, sign up, try it. If you don't like it at the end of a couple of months, you can say, thanks very much, this isn't working for me, and you know, no harm, no foul. You can stop at any time, so there's no commitment that you're making. I'm hoping you won't, because you love it so much, but you can. I will tell you though, the price will be going up to $97 a month in 2 weeks, because this is beta, and I wanted to come out with pricing that was very low to make sure that this was something that people wanted. If you do sign up, you will lock in that beta pricing for 12 months. But you have to sign up within the next 2 weeks, where the beta pricing is going away, and then it's up to $97. So we will have our first call on July 15th. The first 3 people to sign up will get a 30-minute call with me, so that we can really flesh out, where are you with your aging process right now? What are the issues you want to talk about? Where can I point you in the material that's online that are going to help you the most? What are the topics that you want to make sure that we cover? Again, this is a very interactive process right now, people, because I'm in beta and you're in beta with me. So I would love to have your input about what you would like to see in this membership site. All right, so here is the link to sign up. I'll put that in the chat in a minute. And let me copy that. No. All right, stop sharing. I'm going to put this in the chat so you can take a look at it and see if this sounds like it's for you. All right, I am open, y'all, to questions, comments, anything you want to ask. So let me go back and see what has happened in the chat before I unmute everybody. So Sean, you said you completely changed your business in the 50s. I'd love to hear more about that. Anne says, at least my friend, I hope to participate live, but may have to stick with the recording this to catch up with you. 2 interviews this week. Okay, so Anne Casper, yes, I've also noticed we disappear in the local media here as well. Anne, I think you're in Boston. Let me know where you are. Deb, you're inspired to go buy new shoes. Right. They might not be as high, but I'm such a shoe freak. All right, so there you go. This is my, that's the link to go take a look at the program if you would like to join. And I am going to unmute everybody, unmute, and I want to hear. And I can't ask all to unmute. No, can you all unmute yourself? There we go. Okay, unmute yourselves. Any questions, any comments? What are your takeaways from this? How did this feel to you? Gimme. Any feedback you want to give me? I would love it.
Elise, this is Sue.
Hey,
I think
Sue.
this is a fabulous idea. It reminds me of these success teams that I used to have at various points in my life that I created. One was the Catalyst group, and I chose 6 of us because that's who fit around our kitchen table. And we got together for probably about 3 or 4 years, and we did, vision boards and mission statements and everything. And I can absolutely affirm that this is a brilliant way to do it. And I think it's doing it together is the thing that, I've got a little bit of, I'm kind of in stall mode right now. And I won't tell you that I did take a nap right before this call.
Join the crowd.
My energy is at an all-time low, which I'm trying to rephrase all that. Did a couple little health things that are still kind of dogging me, but I want to find not only just a kinder, gentler way to do work. And, I'm finding that all the years of long deadlines and all-nighters is taking a toll that I do not want to pay with my body anymore. So I not only want to find out what my next step is work-wise, but all the other things too, to make it, positive and wonderful, because as you know, caregiving for parents or in the midst of other, family members who are dealing with aging, it's a tough road to hoe. And when you're looking at that, whereas other points in our lives, we're looking at, upward, new careers, new families, new this. Now we're looking at, there's some unpredictable things that could be negative that we need to deal with. And we only just got done with it. So I think this is really, really important to be able to find a way to go, hey, this is our active time and let's make the most of it. And
so the other thing that has come up for me, I don't know if this is true for the rest of you, is I found that when Bruce died, I completely lost my hustle, my ability to, I'm kind of getting over that now, but the striving, the hustle, the go-getter, this is not the time of life for that for me, right? And I just being okay with that, redefining what I'm doing with my work life has been challenging, because this is unlike any way I've ever felt before. The naps, come on, But so just saying no to hustle is another mantra that I seem to be carrying around. So Sue, I'd love to have you involved, because if you are going through a similar thing, I'm sure that this group would be good, would feed you, Anyway,
and of course, I love your energy.
Sue, thanks for coming today. I really appreciate it. Who else has comments? Anne, you said you told me you're from Portland.
The wild Portland, Oregon now.
Are you burning up? How are you doing?
We were actually 63 people died. I just found out. No, we are at 116, but no, we're fine today. Okay, we're back to clouds. We're okay. Thank you for asking.
Good. Welcome back.
Anyway. But this sounds really exciting, really good. I just have to decide if it's something I can make time for. I'm just like, my life is just snowballing into something good. And I'm heading to the East Coast actually the day after this call. So I just have to make sure it fits. Thanks.
So one thing also, this is again new to me. This is a beta concept for me. This is an ongoing program. It's not like it has a beginning and an end, right? So you can jump in and deal with the, review the resources at your own pace. And you can come in next month, you can come in 6 weeks, you can come in. I'd love to start with somebody now, but so this is not a one and done thing. So you can, you got 2 weeks at $50 a month. And after that, it'll go up to 97, but you don't have to wait for the next launch. I'm not doing the launch concept. It drives me nuts. So this will be an ongoing thing. I hope to see you there.
Yeah. I also wanted to mention, I do work with older adults, I guess.
Oh,
It's a nice
in
way
what
to put
way?
it. I work for a warm line. So we get to call people once a week for about 30 minutes and listen without judgment. That's our job. Isn't that cool? I get paid for it.
Isn't that? Do you tend to work with older people?
It's actually through the county is paid to work with older people. I also work with all ages on the warm line, but that's a different job. And this one we do get paid exactly for that.
Oh, and how wonderful. Because again, the isolation is what kills people, you know.
And then I can let them know about this program as well.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Anyone else have comments or questions or anything you want to share? No, don't be shy, please.
Well, I'll say something. I think this is such a great idea, Elise, and it really speaks to where I am. I've reinvented myself twice in the past 7 years, career-wise.
Yeah.
And just for those who don't know, I had a career in advertising, and then I became a writing. I transformed myself into a coach. I started a writing coach for executives, and last year at age 58, I got my yoga teaching certificate. And I'm now teaching yoga via Zoom, and everybody in my classes is over 50. And I'm super excited. And I think there are just amazing opportunities for us at this time of life to reinvent, and people are just hungry for it.
Yeah.
And so this is really great, Elise.
Kate, tell everybody else what you did in the past year and a half or your travels.
Well, so my husband retired 2 years ago. All our kids were gone. Our dog died, our cat died. We didn't own a house, we were renting. And we just decided to put everything we own in storage and live nomadically. We were gonna do it for 2 years, and COVID hit. So we got 9 months in, but we traveled. We spent 3 months in British Columbia. We spent 3 months in Spain, Portugal, and Morocco. We spent time in Guatemala. We spent time in the American Southwest. And then we ran for home here in California in mid-March. And
there you go.
So yeah, we had quite an adventure. So I'm in a new community. I'm doing a new job, this yoga teaching, which I love. I don't have any friends here. I'm starting a new newcomers club here, talk about tribe.
Yeah.
So a lot of these ideas are really speaking to kind of where I am.
Good. So I want to hear more from you, but I'm going to get back to y'all with an email with a copy of the recording, and then an invitation again to join, so you have it. If you want to share that with any of your peeps, any friends that you think would be interested, I'd love to have you do that so we can get the word out more. And I'll be doing more of these webinars on an ongoing basis to attract more people. But I would love to have you spread the word, because women of a certain age know more women of a certain age, and we can help each other with resources like this. So that'd be great. Kate, thank you so much for being here. Anybody else have any comments or questions? You shy people. Kathleen, nothing?
No, I'm just a little tired right now, actually, I have to say, but not associated with the content. The content is wonderful.
Good.
And I'm pretty sure you'll see me again.
Okay, that sounds good to me. Sean, anything you want to add? You're the only one I haven't heard from. Sean, tell me about, if you're still there, tell me about changing your business model at 50. What did you do?
I had been in publishing for over 30 years, and I personally lost 120 pounds. I put my diabetes into remission and my rheumatoid arthritis into remission. I went from a wheelchair to being a kickboxer. And I just felt that is something, and I did it all through nutrition, whole food, nutritional ketosis. And so much of what I see online about being keto is wrong. And some of it is dangerously wrong. And I just wanted to, because I wanted to put out correct information, I went back to school and got a keto coach certification. And I started doing that. And then last month I finished my nutritionist, my certified nutritionist certifications. And so now I am a nutritionist. I do not just keto, but I also, I help people to get their health back and to get their lives back.
Wow. What a wonderful transformation. You had been doing what before?
Publishing. I still do publishing. I run 2 businesses full time.
Wow.
But but it works because I managed to move my publishing mostly into my passion by creating materials for other health coaches.
That's great. That's great.
And then I still have people who knew me before with the old business who call me up and like, I need a book cover this weekend. So I still do that.
What a great transformation, though. That's fantastic. Great. Thank you for coming today, Sean. And
you're welcome.
Marie, you said you have to jump. No problem. Thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. All right. Anybody else have any more comments, questions, anything you want to offer? I just want to thank everybody for coming. This is so much fun for me. So I really appreciate your being here. And I will get back to you tomorrow with an email. Okay.
Great.
Have a nice
Thank you.
evening, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Especially
Bye-bye.
with all
Thank
the-
you.
Thanks.